Hi, this is Shaurya from Integer Audio. Today I'm going to be reviewing this very interesting plugin called Plamen by United Plugins. Plamen is a multi-band saturator. To be more elaborate, it basically splits your audio signal into different frequency bands and then applies saturation on those different frequency bands. You get a lot of detailing when it comes to your harmonic processing. There is another great plugin called Satin by FabFilter. Satin is also a great harmonic processor. It is also multi-band, but it offers only 3 bands. So now let's go through the plugin step by step. Let's start with the top bar. Here as we can see, there is a switch between analog and linear phase. You can either keep it to linear phase, which is optimal, but generates a latency, or you can keep it at analog, which is a 6 dB per octave type of crossover. If we talk about in terms of signal processing, analog crossovers can introduce phase shifts and distortion in the signal, but they have their own distinct sound. To be precise, if you are going for the analog sound, you can use the analog switch here. Otherwise, you can use linear phase. It does not introduce any phase shifts or distortion in the signal, and it is just more optimal. However, it may introduce some latency when you're using the plugin. Next, there is a limit on and off switch. Limit on simply means that the limiter is on. And then there is the AGC switch, which is automatic gain control switch. You can either turn it on or off depending on your preference. Lastly, there is oversampling. What happens is that non-linear processing results in aliasing when pushed too hard. In these cases, oversampling would help by processing in higher sample rates. However, that would cost a lot of CPU usage and latency as well, which is not suitable for live scenarios. However, if you're just mixing or producing, you can absolutely use oversampling. I'll just keep it on. Okay, now moving on, there is your input gain knob, dry wet. We'll keep it 100% wet as of now. Your tape wow effect and output gain. And then you can set the crossover frequencies for these different bands if you want to. Let's say if I want to keep the band 1 till up to 60 Hertz instead of 80 Hertz, I can do that. However, it does have an upper limit of 80 Hertz. Similarly, this also has an upper limit of 400 Hertz. And and every band has an upper limit. Moving on, the controls in all the bands are more or less the same. You can mute or solo the band. You can give it AC boost. AC boost is basically AGC boost only, automatic gain control. When it is turned on, it adds a 10 dB of boost. So we will keep it off for all the bands. Further, for each band, you can add input gain and output gain. By default, every band has an input gain of 2 dBs, which we will keep to 0. And then there are these 5 different types of algorithms. These are just different flavors and different tastes of saturations: British, American, German, magnetic, and clip. And by Mojo, you can adjust the mix of the saturation, as in how much you want to keep the dry signal and how much you want to keep the saturated or the wet signal. Okay, now let's try this plugin on different instruments and see how it sounds. Let's try these on drum. Let me turn this off and let's just hear the drums first. We have something trap here. Turn this into linear phase only. We just reduce the oversampling to 4x. Alright. I think we should start with the second band first. These are the low mid frequencies. Let's see how these low mid frequencies sound. As you can hear that the clip sounds more aggressive than any of these. Yeah, British is quite subtle actually. Let's keep it at magnetic only. I like how it's processing the sound. The sound solo of it. Let's just save it. This is without. Without. This is with. Slash this. Without. Without. With. Do you hear how the kick has become more thumpy just by adding this? Just one single saturator, and that too only on the second band. But it's here. Oh my god, this is. I like this. Let's just keep the sound, keep the mix up too. Yeah, not more than 20%. Okay, let's move on to the second band now. This is quite drastic. I like this sound. I like what it's doing to the kick. Yeah, the room sound is coming up nice. Without. Oh my god. Just listen to how much more exciting the drum sound after adding these. Okay, moving on to the third band. Yeah, I think American is working pretty well on the hats and the snare. Let's hear the British two ones. Yeah, I like the American. This is too drastic. Don't need this. Yeah. Alright. Overall, I like the flavor that these different saturators are adding to the overall drum sound. It's just got more exciting. The hats have come up, the room sounds have come up. I mean, the snare has become thumpier, the kick has more sustain and more oomph to it. So overall, I like the sound. I like what it's doing. Now let's try it on bass. Okay, so the meat is in the first band only. Okay, so as you can hear, that the German algorithm sounds very aggressive on the low frequencies. Let's try some other algorithm. Yeah, this sounds pretty aggressive too. We don't need that much harmonics. Let's just. Sounds good to me. Moving on. This has some personality to it, so let's keep this without. All right. Okay, again, this magnetic algorithm is adding a good grit um, in this 400 to 2500 frequency range. Moving on. Yeah, so this kind of effect will just make the bass cut through more without with. Okay, cool. So that was Plamen on bass. Okay, now let's try the plugin on this piano sound. So this piano loop already has a lot of character, but yes, what we can try to do is maybe we can try changing the characteristic, the basic characteristic of the piano. Alright, let's see what we can do about this. Okay, like for me, I wanted to make it soother and I wanted to make it warmer. And by applying this low mid saturation, I think this American saturator is working good for the low mids as it has a warm and wide sound to it. So I think I'll go ahead with that. This is without. So here we are not using this plugin for mixing. In this particular case, in this context, we are primarily using it for just changing the basic sound that there is. Now to conclude this video, Plamen is great for adding new sonic identity and character into your sounds and can be used on anything from individual instruments like synths, drums, bass, to different buses, your drum bus, synth bus, guitar bus, mix bus, bass bus, etc. To me, on drums, the plugin sounded great as it added so much more excitement, thump, punchiness, and movement to it. Another great feature about it is the amount of customization that the plugin allows. You can literally shape your sound however you want. All 5 algorithms have different flavors, and you can mix the wet signals with the dry ones and add these different flavors as per your taste and your preferences in different bands and do a lot of things. Like, if you have a vision, if you have a sound in mind, and even if you don't, even then you can do a lot of things because the plugin allows you to play around and just toggle with these different switches. Like once you understand it, I think you can do a lot with the plugin. Lastly, for quality conscious producers, its linear phase mode and oversampling will help you render high quality audio outputs. I hope the video was valuable. Thank you for watching.